I am training to run a sub 48-second 400, and in this Christmas-themed episode, I do a ton of sprint work, resisted sprinting, acceleration work, strength training, and more, and run multiple huge PRs that I'm super excited about. It doesn't get Christmassy right from the start, so if you want to get to the Christmas part, go ahead and skip to about 3 minutes into the video. I started out with a day of acceleration training where I was doing some resisted sprinting. When I warm up for acceleration days, I like to do a lot of switches, switching between single switches, double switches, and triple switches, because they help teach you to switch your legs while you're accelerating, which is a super important component of acceleration mechanics. I've got 2 goals today. Number 1, push through the toes, which is kind of a weird cue, but it's working for me because for some reason I don't do that. I already forgot what the second one was. Oh, I'm gonna try to keep my arm from swinging back straight. Every time I sprint, my one arm is just like this the whole time, but I'm gonna try to keep it relatively bent, relatively in here. It probably won't work because I don't feel it when it goes out straight, and so it's really hard for me to fix it because, again, I don't feel it happening, but I'm gonna do my best. If you look closely, you can see my arm doing exactly what I said I didn't want it to do at the beginning of every rep, but as I get a little later into the rep, it gets easier to fix that problem. I think it's because in the earlier steps of acceleration, I have longer to push into the ground, and for some reason my body's way of spending longer on the ground is by straightening my arm, because that creates a longer lever and therefore a slower arm swing to match the slower leg action. These are really tough. I'm having a lot of fun doing them, but the idea with them is that at about 50% velocity decrement, which is what I'm aiming for, you're working in your peak power zone, which in an unweighted acceleration would be the first or second step. I think it's like the second step is where you reach peak power. And we're basically trying to maintain that for an entire acceleration. And I don't know if other people have had this experience, but for me, it's making them feel very difficult. Well, difficult isn't even necessarily the right word, but it's very intense. It feels very fatiguing. Feels good though, I'm making some progress. I'm doing okay, keeping my arm bent. In the first couple steps, I can feel it's definitely still flaring out a little bit, but toward the latter half, I think I'm doing a decent job. The miles per hour that are being showed on screen are the peak miles per hour that I hit in each of these sprints. Then it was time for my first strength training session. I've been doing a lot of jumps with the intention of matching some of the demands in early acceleration, so hoping for similar ground contact time to somewhere around my first 1 to 2 steps of acceleration. And of course, it's not super specific, so I'm doing walk-ins, and here more like run-ins because I was jumping higher than I'm usually comfortable with. So it's not a perfect representation, but I'm just trying to develop similar qualities to those. All my lifting around this time has been as fast as possible. You can see me doing some banded machine squats as fast as I can, and then doing explosive drop push-ups where I pull my arms up to fall down as quickly as I can and then catch myself and turn it around. Now I'm gonna be quiet and let you guys enjoy the beginning of the Christmassy portion of this video. None of those times were super fantastic, but obviously it was very cold outside, if you couldn't tell from the snow blowing around all over the place. So I was happy with that session. It was a lot of fun, and the vibes were unbeatable. Then the next day I was back with some more powerful and explosive strength training, doing all the same stuff. I know it's not super exciting to see the same stuff over and over, but I'm just trying to show you guys exactly what I'm doing so that if I hit the big goals that I'm reaching for, you'll understand how I got there. Coming up is one of my big PRs of the video, and this is the one I was probably the most excited about. It was a really nice day compared to some of the other recent sprinting days. It was somewhere around 50 or 55 degrees, which of course is a big improvement from like the 35 to 40 degrees that I was in on the very snowy day. I felt really good through the warm-up, and as I got into the reps, I was really excited about how the workout was going to go. I can feel the results of my resisted acceleration work paying off in all my other workouts. At this point, every time I was trying to accelerate, it just felt really good. Even on these rolling, or I guess walking up accelerations I was doing here, I could really feel the difference. A 3.007 is a huge 30-meter personal best for me, and I was stoked about that. Once I break 3, that's going to start being a really big indicator that I might be able to break 11 in the 100, and that's something I've been hoping for about 2 years now. So I'm stoked with where I am. I just wish it stayed warm for a little while longer, because since that point I haven't run any super great times because it's been freezing outside, but you guys will get to see that in next week's video. Here for my strength training, I was doing jumps, but with a static hold at the bottom before I jumped, trying to make it more specific to the actual start of an acceleration, and I was really enjoying doing that. And I did some more strike jumps as taken from Cody Bidlow from Athlete X. I've been doing weighted strike jumps to try to slow them down a little bit because I want to move myself through the whole range of the force velocity curve and slowly intensify throughout the year, which is something I took from Rolf Omen. I've been listening to a ton of his stuff, and everything he says is pretty much gold, which is also why I want to get the E-Note sensor, because it can help me ensure that I'm actually intensifying and speeding up as the year goes on to set me up for the best possible season I can have. Now I'm getting into the day with one of my other big PRs for the week, and it was actually a string of PRs over and over again. I started with some 10 meters, but I was having some issues with my timing, unfortunately. I clocked a 1.6 10-meter acceleration, which is absurd, and I've never run that fast in my life, so something just went a little weird with that. But of course, that'll happen from time to time. And then, if I remember correctly, I hit a 20-meter acceleration PR and a 30-meter acceleration PR, and I'm starting to get really close to my goal of breaking 4 seconds in a 30-meter acceleration. That's really where I need to be running sub 11. I might be able to get away with a little bit slower than that if my top end speed comes down a little bit, or I should say comes up. But in an ideal world, I'll be breaking 4 in a 30 sooner rather than later, and that'll set me up for a pretty smooth sub 1100, which, as you guys probably know, is what I need for about a 22 200 and my sub 48 400. My main focus with these reps was pushing off of both feet in the first step, and obviously it paid off. These times for me are really good. Here I'm doing something you guys haven't seen me do before, which is isometrics into a bar that cannot move. So I'm pushing up into a rack with as much force as I can while trying to keep my heel off the ground. These are super tough, and at this stage I'm still working through some Achilles problems that I built up from doing way too much too fast at the beginning of my season. So these were quite painful and really difficult. It's tough to push with all your effort, and I was doing it over 4 to 6 seconds. I also did some med ball passes with my friend. We could not get our throws into the right spot, but the idea was to do quick reactive throws with a fast turnaround. So we dropped the weight of the ball a little bit, and then we hit our flow a little bit better, got some good upper body work in. I did quite a bit of core work as well. I often do core work, but I don't usually put it in my videos because recording it's a bit of a pain, but I'm trying to show you guys everything that I do, and so you'll be seeing quite a bit more core work in the upcoming videos. Then this was my last day of training before going on vacation and taking a deload week. Funnily enough, my vacation was to somewhere very warm, so I almost would have been better off doing sprinting there, but I couldn't get access to a track, and it worked out to just take it as a deload. I did a hybrid session combining resisted sprinting, unresisted accelerating, and then finally a 30-meter fly. I didn't record anything because I didn't want that to be my focus, but honestly, I don't think I ran very fast at all. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you all for sticking with me for so long. I really enjoyed making these videos, and I hope you guys have enjoyed watching them. Merry Christmas to all of you, happy holidays, and I'll see you in the next one.